Three core arguments to use when seeking to invest in your field service management systems. Implementing an FSM system used to offer a competitive advantage. Today, you may face competitive disadvantage without it. In previous years, one of the strongest arguments for adopting or upgrading an FSM solution was that in doing so you would be able to gain a competitive advantage. However, the prevalence of such systems and the introduction of cloud-based software as a service models, which have essentially democratized the use of such systems amongst companies of all sizes, has now flipped this notion on its head. We have now reached a point in the evolution and development of field service delivery that, put simply, it is now incredibly challenging, if not impossible, to meet the demands and expectations of modern customers and executive boards alike without such systems in place. Indeed, those companies not implementing at least a fundamental layer of technology across their field service processes, or those not prepared to upgrade from their legacy applications, now risk putting themselves in a position of significant competitive disadvantage. As we've touched lightly upon earlier in this presentation, customer expectations have increased significantly in recent years as we move into what's become termed the experience economy. Service is no longer a mere functional maintenance and repair role. In a world of digitalization, the field service call often represents one of the very few human-to-human interactions that an organization will have with their clients. This in and of itself has elevated the importance of the service experience. For the service engineer to merely fix the problem under the cover of dark is not enough in today's world. The engineer must be a true brand ambassador for the customer and the eyes and ears of your sales department as well. They must be able to offer your customers a detailed overview of the performance of their assets, outline where the gaps in their service coverage may be, and be able to order the required parts and consumables seamlessly and cohesively. Of course, the requirements of the engineer vary from industry to industry and from company to company. However, the overreaching megatrend of the engineer evolving from repairman to true brand ambassador is proven to be universal, and underpinning this transformation is the modern FSM system, which is empowering the engineer by putting the knowledge, insight and access at his fingertips via the mobile phone in his pocket. It's worth remembering that in the 21st century, when it comes to service, you're no longer competing with the companies in your direct sphere of business. You are now simply competing with the best service experience your customers have ever had. Ever. Why would your customers find it acceptable to wait for a day's part to be delivered from you when they're used to next day delivery from many other suppliers? Why would they find it acceptable only to have an option of morning or afternoon slots? Why would they be prepared to take the time to explain the detailed history of the issue to your field service engineer when other service providers send their engineers fully armed with a 360-degree view of their business and a detailed knowledge of the asset history and the business relationship? These questions and others like them are fundamental when it comes to assessing how your customers will view your service delivery and ultimately your business. Indeed, while the technology at our fingertips continues to develop at a rapid pace, the fundamental best practices of the business remain timeless. As Peter Drucker once famously stated, the essence of the business is outside of itself. It is important not to forget that at its very heart, the fundamental, primary purpose of a business is inherently simple: to win and retain customers. Other, subsequent grand aims, of course, exist beyond this, such as leading an industry through innovation, securing market-leading shareholder profits, or even improving society at large. But without achieving this first fundamental, customer-centric aim, any subsequent goals can never be met. This maxim is becoming even more apparent as we begin to enter an era of service-centric revenue strategies. Strategies that are based primarily within the concept of outcome-based service offering. As we begin to see the learnings of the software sector and the evolution of the SaaS model spread across multiple industry disciplines, as we begin to embrace the everything as a service approach to business, then the focus on service delivery becomes ever greater. This is the new paradigm, whether we call it Industry 4.0, servitization, or the fourth industrial revolution. We are in the midst of a seismic change in how businesses interact with each other. It's also worth noting that it is not a movement that sprung out from nowhere. It is easy to argue that we are at least 30 years into this new revolution. Indeed, it is today that we are on the tipping point of maturity for many of the key technologies. Technologies such as cloud and mobile that are at the heart of this new wave in industrial engagement. We're also seeing the same technologies becoming affordable and accessible to service organisations of all shapes, stripes and sizes in all industries across the globe, as FSM systems continue to develop also. As we have seen throughout this presentation, there are core arguments based around both returns on investment and health and safety that can be made to justify an investment in FSM technology. However, perhaps the most powerful argument of all is simply, can your organisation afford not to invest in such systems whilst all of those around you are doing so? That is the crucial question that all field service companies must now be contemplating. And that brings us to the end of this video. However, if you found this content of use, you may be interested to know that it's actually an excerpt from a much longer documentary produced exclusively by Field Service News in partnership with HSO. If you're a fieldservicenews.com subscriber, you can access the full-length version of this video by simply clicking the links below. If you have yet to subscribe to fieldservicenews.com, then join 30,000 of your field service management peers and do so again by simply clicking the links below. But for now, thanks ever so much for taking the time to watch and listen. Thank you ever so much to HSO for being our partner on this project, and we'll see you all again soon. Take care.